We are back at downtown San Diego, a little early, and today I do have the Ricoh with me. However, I did find a little weird cheap lens companion to the Ricoh, to the 28mm, and that is the 45mm on the Canon. We're also looking for a handmade sale because we didn't get it last time, so hopefully we'll find it today. So I was trying to get a photo of my drink with the Ricoh and it got stuck. Wouldn't turn on, the lens got stuck. It's just not working for some reason. This is kind of annoying. Like every single time, whenever I bring it out to shoot. So, oh, it's back. I feel like this lens problem happens way more often than it should have. Like it shows a lens error on the screen very briefly and it just goes away and then everything's like stuck. You have to press the on and off button like once or twice for it to work again. Sometimes the screen turns back on and sometimes it doesn't and it turns itself off and you have to turn it back on. I haven't even had this camera for like a year. I remember when I first got the Ricoh GR IV Street Edition, it was perfect. Like it was smooth until like maybe into the third, fourth year, then it starts to have problem. Now with the 4, like this is the first year with the 4, so this is a little concerning. It's also more expensive too, but the build quality, Now let's talk about the 45mm today. I actually had this lens for a couple months now. It's not my first time using this lens. However, it is my first time using this focal length combining with the Ricoh 28. So if you remember my last video, I was talking about it would be nice to have like a focal length that just punches in a little bit more whenever I'm shooting like wide, bigger or more vast area like the beach. And it would be nice to have some kind of compression going on because everything is just so far away. Now I haven't really done that today yet. However, I do want to see like how does it feel like to use this combo like 28, 45, because a lot of company nowadays has like the Ricoh has like the 4 and then most likely the 4X with the 40mm and also the Leica Q3 28, 43. Now the focal length 43, 45 might feel weird at first. It's not a common focal length, especially if you never shot medium format before, because you usually don't see this kind of focal length. I mean, there are a couple, but not that much, especially not mainstream like the Leica Q or the Canon now. But with medium format like the Rolleiflex 6x6 80mm, that's around roughly 44-ish, I believe, to full frame. And if you look at the Hasselblad 58mm, that's also like, I think that's 43 exactly, or close, don't quote me on that. So if you're into medium formats or you're familiar with medium formats, then 43, 45, it's not that unpopular. Now the Canon RF45 is actually f1.2. That's one of the biggest reasons why I picked up this lens. And the other reason is because it's so cheap. It's like under 500 bucks. I think with tax it's like 500, but yeah, it's under 500 bucks. f1.2. Now obviously you're not gonna have like the sharpest photo ever, like the arrow lens with the red rings. Like your photo is not just gonna be the sharpest at f1.2, which I didn't really show f1.2 today because I just didn't see any photos that needed f1.2. But if I want to, and if I need to, I can't because it's f1.2. However, it's actually quite decent if I go to like 5.6, 7.1, which is what I shoot most of the time, especially on the street. Then the performance of this lens is actually not too shabby at all. So the versatility of this lens is amazing, especially the price point and f1.2. Like, come on, what more can you ask for? Especially it's packed into this tiny little lens here. Now, yes, it does feel very plasticky, like it feels kind of cheap actually, but also very light. And because it's not an aero lens, so it's not weather sealed. Now, so far I feel like this lens has been amazing, just not the focal length. I'm actually more of a 28 or 35 guy, I feel. It's not the lens fault, it's just the way I shoot. I feel like 45 is nice, it's good to have, and the compression is good once in a while. It's just not something that I need all the time. And I feel like I just don't reach for the 45 or 50 that often. And it also kind of defeats the purpose of like going out with one camera, one lens, one focal length, and just without having to think about it. Because today I was still thinking, even though I only have 2 focal length, I'm like, should I use the Ricoh 28 or should I use the 45? Like when I was at the farmer's market, like the 45 also works. 28 also works. It just depends on what kind of feelings you want to portray on like your photos. If you want to feel like you're there in person, like with the environment, the 28 obviously. Especially like today's a sunny bright day, then the 28 works perfectly fine. But if it's like a kind of like a cloudy day, overcast, then the 45 will be amazing because it's easier to isolate the subject that you want to show in your photos, which didn't really happen today because it started cloudy, but then the weather got good, like really good actually. However, the 45 is still 45. You'll be able to punch in more, and then you don't have to be as close as the 28. That's also really nice. But personally, I am just so used to just walking closer to the subject, to the scene that I want to take photos of. So yeah, it feels kind of weird using the 45 by not having to walk towards the subject because it's like I'm already so far away and then I'm already like there. The scene is like it's already cropped in. I don't have to move my feet. Even though I've been using this lens for a couple months now, it still feels kind of weird, especially on the street. And I guess it still bothers me, especially if I'm like just out there for fun, not for work. It feels kind of like work when I have like 2 different focal lengths. I'm like, should I do the 28? Should I do the 45? Another thing that stood out to me the most was the focus. The focus on the, 45 because I was using the Canon. It was just so much better than a Ricoh. Ricoh 4, it's autofocus is actually good and better than a 3 in my opinion. But if I'm not using snap focus, I'm like using autofocus. The autofocus on here is still not like just not even close to the Canon. And just the overall reliability. The Ricoh seems to be not on par. But then again, there's no way I can fit this in my pocket. So